in the spirit of what the new Patriots regime is kind of emphasizing early, and we haven't heard much from them in terms of football things yet. We briefly talked last week about what Alex Van Pelt said in that little introduction video he did. But early on, the tone around New England seems to be it's a little bit corporate.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Reese kind of touched on that this morning in his Sunday notes, mentioning Gerard Mayo did a Q&A with members of the Patriots organization earlier this week. He says it was another reminder of the changing of the guard, with Mayo maybe tapping into his prior experience working in business at Optum. So in the spirit of this new corporate approach, I don't know, I've never done a true 9 to 5, so I just know the corporate buzzwords. But one I know is mission statement, right? When you start a project or maybe a company, they have their mission statement. What are they doing? So let's start as the offseason begins. Let's start there. What should the mission statement be for this Patriots offseason? Because there's a couple different directions it could go, and I think there's validity to multiple arguments, multiple directions you could take. It's just what do you want to emphasize? What are your preferences? So as the offseason gets underway, Cerrone, give me a mission statement for the Patriots, just for this year, just what they're accomplishing this year. Obviously, we know it's going to be a bigger rebuild building up to trying to get back to the Super Bowl. But for 2024, what's the mission statement for the offseason?
I think the key word should be foundation. I think foundation should be the key. I think it should be, okay, this is our baseline. This is our floor. These are our building blocks. These are our cornerstones. I think getting some kind of establishing something new coming out of Belichick, the Belichick era. I think establishing, okay, this is my cornerstone. You got your young receiver over there who we believe is going to be a superstar in this league. We have our key guys on defense. We have to get a cornerstone pieces on this team and build a foundation to explode off of. I don't know if that's through. I think you do that kind of, I'm going to say through free agency, but I think you build your team through free agency, but I think you build your foundation through the draft. These are our young pieces. This is who we're building everything around this. Even if it's your quarterback and he's going to be a guy that's maybe not be ready this season. You get you a veteran quarterback or, a Kirk Cousins or something like that. But you understand with the mindset of this quarterback is going to be our future. He's our foundation. This young receiver is going to be paired with that quarterback. He's going to be a part of our future. We have to get younger at certain positions on offense. Our defense is going to be there, but I think they have to – the key should be building a foundation. Like you said, it's a rebuild. There's no other way to describe it. But you have to establish future – but when I say foundation, I mean guys that are going to be here, long-term pieces, not just plug-and-play guys this year, one-year deals. I'm talking long-term financial foundation pieces, and I think that should be the goal is just – setting a floor. These are our key guys, and let's build off of that.
Yeah, I'm in a similar vein as you. I think finding that core, like you said, cornerstone would be another way to put that. But even I don't know, maybe this is semantics. When I think cornerstone, I think blue chip, and they need to add blue chip talent. But just even finding the middle of the roster guys who are going to be locker room guys, who are going to be culture guys, who may not play as big of a role on Sunday, but they haven't signed a player that they drafted in the top 3 rounds to a second contract since Deron Harmon. I mean, just build some sense of continuity, and we'll get into the upcoming free agents in a little bit. I definitely want to touch on that today, the Patriots pending free agents, the own guys in the building. But I just think establishing a group of 5 to 10 players, and I think part of this is getting your ideal franchise quarterback in the building. I don't think a bridge quarterback is what this team needs right now. This team does not need more uncertainty. I think finding the 5 to 10 guys that you look at, like they did it, and granted, this was a multi-year undertaking the last time, and it'll probably be ultimately a multi-year undertaking again this time. But you look at, the 2009 draft, where they get Patrick Chung, Sebastian Vollmer, Julian Edelman. And some of the guys they added that offseason as well. The 2010 draft, Devin McCourty, Rob Gronkowski, Brandon Spikes. These are guys that were part 2008. You had Matthew Slater and Gerard Mayo. These are guys that set the culture, set the tone around here for a long time. Can they add? And they might have a couple in the building. I think if you sign a guy like Mike Onwenu, he qualifies as that. I think if you re-sign a guy like Kyle Duggar, Anthony Jennings, those guys would qualify as that. So it doesn't all have to be through the draft. But can you set up a group where you get a quarterback, skill position, offensive lineman, defensive front, linebacker, secondary, and then somebody on special teams? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Are there 7 players you can point to, like, for the next 5 years as we build up, these guys are going to be a part of it? And again, that's not all through the draft. That's a massive ask. But like I said, I think Kyle Duggar can be a part of that in the secondary. Christian Barmore is eligible for an extension. I think he's a guy up front that you look at and you say, yeah, he can be a part of the plan moving forward. And I think he's a guy that could probably have a little bit of a bigger role in the locker room moving forward. I just mentioned Mike Onwenu. And then you're basically down a skill position quarterback and linebacker, which it might be Juwan Bentley. So they're kind of there. But can you really lock in and establish that, hey, we're actually going to commit to guys now instead of just continuing the roster churn we've had the last 4 years?
Yeah, I think that's what the way you just described that is key. You described it better than I did. Having those, I don't care what era you want to look at. Even when the teams were struggling, late 90s, you still had the Brewskis and the Chris Slades and Willie McGinnis and all those key names that carried into the championship years. Every 5 years or so, you have your core guys, your captains, the household names. And I think this team needs to reestablish that and get those pieces in. And I think that'll take care of the off the field stuff, the locker room stuff, the attitude stuff with this team, the mindset. And with the quarterback situation, I agree with you with if you're going to draft a guy, I think you need to go ahead and just draft a guy in the first round. Get it out the way. Get your quarterback. Establish him as, okay, this is our guy. This is who we're building around. This is our piece. We're all in agreement. This is the dude we're all on the same page here. This is I don't know which guy it's going to be. May, Daniels, whoever, Williams, if he falls to you, this is the guy. We're going to build around him. He's one of our captains, going to be one of our leaders. We're going to build with this kid and just go ahead and move forward with it. Like you said, if you got guys' contracts are up that were good players for you early in the draft, like you mentioned, Kyle Duggar, keep him around. Good guy in the locker room. Pretty sure he has a good relationship with Mayo, who's now the coach. Keep those guys around so you have some kind of you have some footing. You have something to springboard off of. And I think they just had no more plug and play, no more 1-year deals trying stuff out. You have to establish something and go forward from there. And then once you're built, once that foundation is set, then you can add a Tyler Boyd, a receiver like that, or you can have a Curtis Samuel or whatever. If a Mike Evans or somebody falls in your lap, then you add the free agent pieces around that to try and push yourself down to being a contender. But I think the foundation, I think, is key to this whole thing.
617-779-0985. You want to join us and talk about the upcoming Patriots offseason. We'll also get into, later in the show, I want to get into some specific players, Mac Jones, some pending free agents, some news around the NFL as well. And we got to react to the Dynasty first 2 episodes. That's probably going to become a weekly feature on here. But, yeah, again, to get back to the point of the offseason, the whole bridge thing this offseason, and you just said it, the 1-year deals, they're probably going to have to find a bridge at some spots just because they have so many needs.
Mm-hmm.
To me, quarterback is not one of them. And frankly, if they don't re-sign Mike Onwenu, I don't think both tackles can be. One tackle might have to be. Just because adding 2 starting caliber tackles like True, that's a massive, massive undertaking. But those are 2 positions where I think you just don't bridge it. You don't bridge it there. And when I say that, if you want to tell me at quarterback they're gonna draft a guy 3rd overall, and then Jacoby Brissett's gonna come in and start the first month to let that guy get ready, whatever. Like I don't care about that. I'm talking about we should be down in training camp talking about a guy and saying the plan, this guy's going to be here for 10 years. That's the plan. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, Michael Pratt on day 3, like hoping they become somebody. No. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy is here to be the dude. They are giving the franchise keys to this guy. Not, we like what this guy can do. And he has some, developmentally interesting. No. Well, you can they can take that guy if they want to do an RG3 Kirk Cousins thing. I wouldn't be opposed to that. And obviously, we all know how that turned out.
Mm-hmm.
But you need the pick at the top of the draft. It's just, and the people want to trade down, need to add assets. And I posted my mock draft earlier this week if people want to check that out. Then you trade down from 34. You can still add top 100 picks trading down from 34. I just don't think you can't do half measures at quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to, move down. We're going to draft a guy in the second round, and, maybe he'll be good. And then we're going to sign, we're going to try to get this year's Baker Mayfield. Well, you're just trying things. So if you're just trying things, you might as well take the biggest investment at the most important position. Although it is interesting now that they're saying, like, it's maybe not a guarantee between Baker and the Bucs, which would be monumentally stupid for Tampa. Like, people should lose their jobs stupid. But I will put the caveat on all of this that if Baker Mayfield's available, I would just go get Baker. Because there is less risk than that, than the QB at third overall.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you with the quarterback situation. I think this team is not in a position like they've been for 20 years to where you can say, we'll just get a guy later.
Right. That's what you do. That's what you do in 2018 when Tom Brady has a year or two left and you have time to develop the guy. That's not what you do right now.
Yeah, it's 1992 again, and Drew Bledsoe's on the board. This is where you are. You're that bad again, and you need a quarterback. If I'm ownership, I need a face of my franchise. I need somebody to put on the billboards. I need someone in the Dunkin' ads. I need a guy. If you're a new head coach, I need a young star quarterback. If you're trying to attract free agents, I need to show them this is a quarterback that can do this or that. I need a guy. The fan base needs a quarterback. And like you said, don't go trying to get a third round pick guy and just throw him back there. No, if you're going to risk anything, you might as well risk high. And if you hit on this kid, you hit, and you said, you're set for a decade.
Right, you're golden.
Yeah, you're good to go. I take my chances with the quarterback at the top of this draft. I think it's something needed more than just on the field at this moment. I think you have to get a face of this franchise.